This week's chapter, Black Clover, has one of the most interesting reveals that we've had in the series for a while now. Honestly, ever since the Lucius fight, or when we found out Lucius was actually Julius himself. But what happens with Ichika during the middle of the chapter is honestly insane, and I really didn't see it coming. And we're going to get into that later on in the chapter review, but let's start at the beginning of the chapter. The chapter this week actually starts off with Ichika saying directly to the Ryuzen or the other members that they're actually not going to need the power of Ryuya going forward, and that they're going to do all of this themselves. But this is kind of short-lived, since we see that the paladins instantly launch a sort of combination magic, and it's called Ice X Spatial Magic Infinite Glacier, and we see that this kind of takes out every single member of the Ryuzen, and they really couldn't do anything about it. So this kind of does make the sort of power scaling of the Ryuzen and the paladins a little weird, since the paladins kind of took them out pretty easily. Granted, they did kind of use a lot of their magic power to take down the five-headed dragon, but it's still kind of crazy seeing them get taken out by one kind of combination magic that was thrown at them. We see that the only two people still up and running right now are Ichika herself and the sort of fox girl, but we see that this is actually short-lived, since the fox girl kind of gets taken out pretty fast by this beast magic user's magic power, and he explains it as the boogeyman, and he says that it kind of brings forth the innermost fears of the person that kind of gazes upon it, and it literally becomes them. And we see that it really does work on the girl, since she's instantly incapacitated by this. She's instantly taken out, she's scared right now, and we see that it actually manifests on Ichika, and the person that comes forward is actually her father. So we see that the person that she kind of fears the most, or the thing she fears the most, is actually her father itself. And this is about the part where we get one of the most interesting reveals that has happened in recent times in Black Clover. She even remarks that, she did kind of fear her father and that he did abuse her a bit, but she's wondering why he himself is kind of coming up as one of her greatest fears. And this is the part where we actually learn exactly what happened in her past, and she sort of sees weird memories, and she's wondering, whose memories are these? Like, what's going on? Why am I seeing this right now? And we see that it's actually her father, and he's holding something called a Oni soul pill, and he says that it's been passed down in their clan for a while now, and it kind of releases bloodlust and latent Yoryoku, kind of bringing out latent power in the person that actually takes the pill. And he actually gives this to Ichika. So we find out that it wasn't Yami that did this, it was actually Ichika that slaughtered the entire clan, and this whole time she kind of thought it was Yami that did it, but that wasn't the case. This is the part where we see again the flashback of the entire clan being slaughtered, but we get this really cool panel where Tabata actually shows her seeing her reflection on the sword, showing full well who actually did the massacre of the clan, and it wasn't Yami, it was actually Ichika herself. So I think it's just very interesting seeing that it was Ichika that actually did it, since I thought that maybe it was Yami that did massacre his clan. I thought it was him, but I thought that there would be like a good reason, like maybe he did it to kind of save her from being taken out by the father, or maybe there was a better reason for it. I definitely thought there was a reason that Yami did it, but I never would have thought it was actually Ichika herself that took out the clan. But this is very interesting, and I think this is a very cool kind of sidevert, or a way that Tabata kind of subverted our expectations and gave us something different than what we thought it would be, since everyone just assumed Yami actually did slaughter the clan, but he had a good reason for doing it. But I definitely didn't see it being Ichika herself. We get a panel of her father saying, I never thought that you'd be this powerful. So it definitely does draw out the inner powers, or the latent powers, it seems, of the person that's using it, since we see Ichika is obviously very strong, so it makes sense that she was able to take out her whole clan if that pill actually does kind of draw out latent power from the person. But we see the father even mention that, I didn't know you'd be this powerful, and he's saying you definitely are a child of mine. And we see Ichika kind of hang her head low, and this is the part where we kind of realize that maybe Yami did actually take out the father himself. It seems like that. So I think Yami did do that, obviously, because he made Ichika kind of slaughter the entire clan, so it makes sense Yami would kind of retaliate against his father for that. But it's just still interesting and very crazy to me that it was Ichika herself that took out her whole clan, and it wasn't Yami, it wasn't anybody like that, it was actually her. Honestly, the ability of the boogeyman right here kind of reminds me a lot of the powers of the Sternritter from Bleach, and I just bring up Bleach since it's kind of relevant right now, since Bleach, the season that just ended, but it kind of reminds me of Asnot and his whole fear ability, and it's kind of like that, but Asnot obviously manifested from itself, and it's a little bit different. But I do think that whole fear aspect and it kind of bringing about really bad memories, or something that you fear the most out of the person, is kind of relevant, and it does kind of tie in with Asnot a little bit, or at least his ability from Bleach. But I just wanted to bring it up since Bleach is honestly a big part of my life, and I do love Bleach, and I love the fact that the season has finally ended and we're going on to the next one. We see that Ichika even starts to question her memories right now. She's saying, you know, are these really my memories and what's going on? She's saying, you know, did I actually do that to my clan? Was that me? And she starts to really question everything, it seems, right now. And she's honestly incapacitated right now. There's nothing she can really do. And honestly, right now, she's going to need somebody to kind of step in. But it's just very interesting seeing how the whole dynamic has shifted now that she knows that it was actually her that slaughtered the clan and not Yami, since this means that for a huge portion of her life she's hated Yami for doing something that it was actually her that did. So it makes sense that right now she just can't even really manifest the will to fight. She's hated her older brother for so long now for something that he didn't even do, and she probably realizes that maybe he didn't say anything to kind of protect her. Maybe he kind of took on the burden of thinking that, you know, he was the one that took down the clan just to make sure that she didn't have to remember that. So it's just interesting seeing it from her perspective that Yami didn't actually do it, and Yami's actually a good person, like Asta was saying. So her ideology or her vision of Yami was completely wrong, just like Asta was saying. It was completely wrong, and she had it wrong from the beginning. So it's just interesting seeing how she's going to kind of move forward knowing this information. The other members of the Ryuzen start to get up, and they're still trying to fight, but it's obvious that they're not going to be able to fight at full capacity right now since they're still hurt, and they're even saying it themselves. They kind of can't afford to go down, but at the same time they're just so weak right now. We see Sister Lily remark that it doesn't matter, that in a little bit Lucius is going to kind of free them and he's going to kind of make peace and make everything better. So it seems that like she kind of thinks that they have the win in the bag right now. She actually then tells them in a panel to be at ease and rest in peace, and we see that the five-headed dragon has kind of fully been manifested again, so it's back up and running. It has all of its heads back, so it seems like things are very dire right now, and it's not looking very good for the members of the Ryuzen right now. And I still can't believe the power scaling of the Paladins right now. They're such at a high level compared to everybody else, since we know the Ryuzen are so strong compared to everything else in the series. They honestly scale above technically 50% Lucifero, but we see that even they're getting taken out so easily by these Paladins, and the Paladins haven't really done anything at all. They haven't been touched, they haven't really been hurt, and the only person that's kind of taken a beating was the five-headed dragon. But it's at this point that we get the MC of the series, Asta, to finally show up, and it's after a panel where we see her kind of relate Asta to Yami stepping in to save her from her dad. And it's Asta that finishes off the chapter saying, you know, what are you doing to my benefactor? That's what they say in the translation. It might change in the official translations, but I'm assuming it's going to still be something along the lines of benefactor. And this is actually where the chapter ends off this weekend. I just want to say it was a very good chapter. I really enjoyed it, and I think Tabata did a very good job with that reveal of it being Ichika that actually took down the clan. I definitely wasn't seeing that coming, so I love the way that he kind of made that come out of nowhere. It makes sense. It actually really does make sense, but at the same time it was like out of nowhere, and it really does kind of hit you like, man, she's hated Yami this whole time for literally no reason now. So we're gonna probably see a sort of redemption arc where she's gonna try to make it up to Yami in the future, but obviously Yami's not gonna hold a grudge over it. But I think it was an amazing chapter this week, and I definitely do want to know what you guys thought of the chapter in the comments. Also, don't forget to like the video if you liked it and subscribe to my channel, as it really does help me out, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys for sticking around and watching my videos. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.